The Final Furlong podcast is presented by 1xBet Ireland. With over 7,000 events available every day, fast withdrawals, and exclusive new customer offers, 1xBet puts you in control. 18 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
Welcome to a review of the Cheltenham Festival. Tom Malone, top bloodstock agent responsible for sourcing at least 2 winners of the Cheltenham Festival. He had the perfect start as well with the 1-2 in the Supreme. He'll tell us all about that. And a man who backed multiple winners of the Cheltenham Festival, Jaime Wrenn, and told you they were going to win as well. Smash a like on this episode, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. We're going to start with the main event, which was the Gold Cup. The feature race goes to Gaelic Warrior. We were pretty confident on the show that he would win. I don't think any of us were confident, though, that he was going to end up winning on the bridle. A 4th Cheltenham Festival run, a 2nd festival win for Gaelic Warrior Tom Malone. He did it brilliantly.
He was amazing, if I'm honest. I didn't see him staying the trip out like he did, and in actual fact, he was better for the trip. I am of the opinion, though, the race fell apart. I don't think it was as strong as it looked on paper beforehand. I think Django Bay ran a nice, solid race. I know the way you're thinking was never at the races and manages to finish 3rd. Grey Dawning is a nice animal, but I never had him as a Gold Cup type horse. And Lon Presso then, who was flat out beside, I know the way you're thinking. So I think the winner is the exceptional horse in the race. I didn't see the rest being proper. You know, the jukebox man made a noise. So already they're thinking that, he'll be back next year. But for me, I think the winner was exceptional. The rest was not of Gold Cup standard. Yeah,
it's hard to imagine any of those horses in behind turning the form around. Fair play to the Gavin Cromwell team for getting a much better performance from, I know the way you're thinking, but he's run an extraordinary race, really. He looked beaten after the first fence, and yet he manages to plug on into 3rd. It's a 5th Gold Cup for both Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. In the 101-year history of the race, Paul Townend is the most successful jockey to ever ride in it, which is just extraordinary in a measure of who Townend is. You were pretty confident he was going to win, Jaime Wrenn, but how are you feeling coming around the final bend?
It was over for a long way out, Emmet. I agree, echo what Tom says. Was it that good of a race? But he's just exceptionally far, just way better than all of them. I said on the podcast on the show that I thought Django was in the wrong race, but look, he probably did stay. I know the way you're thinking, just doesn't jump properly. I mean, go back to when he won the Gold Cup, he didn't jump properly either. It was he didn't jump great, and that's what put me off him. No, he wasn't great. Grey Dawning, they're going back to the Ryanair. Then they're going to have to bump into Factory File next year again, the Ryanair. Don Press is solid. That's what he just runs. Firefox, they're going to. He travelled very well. The jukebox man, exactly. Made a noise. Will he come back? But I can't see him reversing the form. Look, 80 Glor, Sean Malone said it was never at the races, but he's not good enough to win a Gold Cup anyway. Do you know what I mean? He tried, but he really did try. But
unlike Haydock, though, he did actually run his race. Like, he was there. He just ends up folded like a cheap deck chair towards the end.
Yeah, he did, yeah. But look, it's going to take a very good horse to be Gaelic Warrior next season. All going well, Emmet, but Gold Cups are Gold Cups. You just never know. But could it be another multiple winner of the Gold Cup? Most likely. I can't see any horse beating him if he gets back in the same form. It's like, look, Gaelic Warrior. I always say which Gaelic Warrior gets out of the bed, but look, do you know what I mean? If you look back at the DRF, you say that horse won't win no Gold Cup. But I just saw it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
The one thing I would say about getting back is that he is so tough. He's 22 runs under his belt, 11 wins at high levels. He's £1 million won. He's as tough as they come, and as hard as he is on himself, you could see him coming back again. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think he was a lucky that King George to turn into a sprint, like, do you know what I mean, like, as well. You probably would have won that as well, like, do you know, if it was a properly run and Harry Cobden on it, like
like I said to you the last day, Cobden played a major role in how that race turned out. Had that been run end to end, we'd have had 6 or 7 lengths between 1st and 4th, not a half a length.
Just note of caution. I know the way you're thinking was a great winner of this race last year. Didn't quite work out for him this season. The Gold Cup can really take it out of horses. Now on the plus side, he's trained by Willie Mullins. He's managed to get Album Photo and Galopin des Champs to win 2 Gold Cups, and Galopin des Champs was an absolute legend of a racehorse. So he's with the right man, and he's battle hardened. He's been placed in a juvenile hurdle at the festival, placed in a grade 1 novice hurdle at the festival. He's won an Arkle. He's now won a Gold Cup, and he's won it on the bridle. So hopefully he can come back, but that race can take an awful lot out of a horse. Just very briefly, Tom, awful what happened to poor old Envoy Len. On his previous run, he'd won a grade 1. He'd beaten a horse that went on to win a grade 1. He deserved to be in the lineup, and people were excited to see him there. it's just a desperate loss, and for a family that have suffered so many losses themselves, that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but a lot of people were there. They cheered him on, and it was sad to see what happened to him in the end. Really was.
Yeah, and look, you sourced him, so obviously you've been very closely associated with the horse, and the 10 Grade 1 wins that he's had. I mean, he was a wonderful horse. That was his 8th consecutive Cheltenham Festival.
I put him up as one of the top 3 horses I've ever bought. Do you know what I mean? So that says it all. And it was longevity that probably, he didn't have the rating of Native River, but he had the ability, and he had the consistency and the longevity. He was a lovely, lovely animal. He was
a wonderful horse, and we all get incredible memories from him as well. And if you watch back Dara was incredibly kind on him in the closing stages of the race. He wasn't asking him for anything at all, just coasted him on up the hill. It's just one of those dreadful things in racing, and I'm afraid that is one of the things that can happen. Jockeys can suffer serious injuries, horses can too. But thank you for the memories in Boyle End. They were unbelievable, and you were an incredible horse. Poor old Henry couldn't go up into the winner's enclosure after Irvin Titleman's win. He was still broken by it, so that'll tell you just how much it hurt him and hurt the yard. Very briefly on the Ryanair chase, it was a win for Henry de Bromhead with Heartwood. You'd have been feeling fairly sick if you'd taken the 6-1 Heartwood anti-post to first of all find you're up against Factifile, but you're also up against Imperi Pass, Banbridge and John Bon. As it happens, Factifile doesn't run, and those horses all pretty much underperformed. Maybe John Bon ran his race. RPR of 170 for Heartwood, which is £7 below what Factifile did a year ago. A very smart performance, a first Grade 1 for Heartwood, and for the 10th successive year Henry de Bromhead is in the winner's enclosure at Cheltenham. He would go on to add to it again, Tom Malone, but really smart performance from Heartwood.
I thought it was a lovely performance, the way he travelled through the race. From 5 out, you knew this is a massive player. I actually had to look to see what it was, if I'm honest. I never had him as I never had him as a Ryanair winner, but actually he was as impressive as you get. John Bon fluffed his lines. Again, he was never been out of the first 2, but unfortunately it seems to be at Cheltenham where he's second most of the time. So beautiful animal, stays well, but Heartwood looked come of age.
Yeah, and Nicky Henderson was incredibly bullish that he was going to run a monster race. And to be fair, he did run a big race, Jamie, but just not good enough. There is just a sense of feeling of, oh my goodness, what would have happened to Factifile had turned up. I understand Willie was upset. I don't know what John Pullen could have done if he watered the ground and the rain that was forecast to come came. It would have been a complete bog, and everybody would have been out with the pitchforks for John Pullen's head. As it happened, it was JP McManus and Willie Mullins who wanted his head on a spike, Game of Thrones style, after Factifile had to come out of the race. But impossible position for John Pullen. You're not going to please everybody. But had Factifile lined up, Jamie, on a line through Gaelic Warrior and on a line through Heartwood, he'd have murdered that lot.
Yeah, he would have won easy. I'm sorry, he would have won easy. Look, exactly what Tom said. John Bon just fluffed these lines. He just doesn't jump well enough. He just can't win a Grade 1 at the Cheltenham Festival. That's just the way it is. And it's very, very strange with Banbridge, who's won a 2 mile novice chase around there, and has won a Martin Pipe, got his ground, and just doesn't act out around Cheltenham Winner. Same with Imperi Pass. I think this was an afterthought with Imperi Pass. I think they're just flat track horses on better ground. That's just me. Like, they wanted Imperi Pass to run an entry, but they said, might as well give it a go with the uncertainty of Factifile. He never travelled. JPR1 ran a great race, and he looked like he was going to win the race.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very strange. But obviously he's better on better ground. Do you know what I mean? With Tatasman Master Tree, it's not a great race, really, technically, even though you have a 170 horse and John Bon in the race. I will say that. But look, Factifile will run this. It'll be Factifile again next year. Just simple as maybe Grey Dawning will be second to maybe or something like that. That'd be it. It's a poor race now, Emmet. I think it was a good race when it started at Cheltenham Festival, but I think it's just getting poorer and poorer. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Factifile would have done a Gaelic Warrior on it. He'd have won it the exact same way as Gaelic Warrior won the Gold Cup.
Yeah,
100%.
Mark would have been blowing kisses to the crowd. And in the winner's enclosure, sipping on champagne as Heartwood jumped the last. But look, as it happened, Heartwood was the one who was there. He's absolutely bolted up, and we'll get to see what he can do next time out. Bear in mind, he disappointed at Ferryhouse after his run in the Ryanair last year. That is the 7th time that John Bon has been runner-up in a Grade 1. I'm sure he's going to be well fancied for Aintree. I wouldn't be surprised if Imperi Pass turned the form around with him. That was an awful run from him. I just suspect he left his run behind him at Goran Park the other day, because he was asked an awful lot to do that day. Yeah, and Pictori's going to be in there too. Yeah, but
he'll go 2.5, 3. I don't know if they'll take each other on, but I would fancy Pictori's chances if he did take him on, given he hasn't gone to Cheltenham as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he'll come there fresh. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Aintree.
Yeah.
The countdown to Aintree begins on the Final Furlong podcast. And we'll hope, obviously, be covering the Grand National for you and lots more in between. Let's just cover the Queen Mother Champion Chase before we do the sponsor mention. Ilete Tomp is the winner of the race, which thankfully we put him up on the podcast. We were trying to urge caution about Mashborough. Well, some of us were anyway. 7 odds-on favourites in the last 10 years have been sunk. Mashborough, the latest one. JP McManus' quest for a first Queen Mother Champion Chase goes on. Mashborough blows out. Ilete Tomp was stunning. That was probably the ride of the week, Tom Malone, because you could see Townend knew what was happening and he kept taking back. He took back after the second. I'm pretty sure he takes back after the fourth. Even as somebody is, well, as Harry Skelton is looking around for dangers, Townend is just sitting motionless waiting. I've got this in the bag. It was some ride.
It was an amazing ride. I have to take my hat off to the horse because he lay at the back of a fence in Ascot 5 weeks ago, and I thought there is absolutely no chance this horse could win, given he was distressed and tired. How Willie Mullins, the genius that he is, has managed to get him back. But you could argue then, now he was amazingly brilliant there. You could argue if it ended up being a weak event outside of Mashborough. You have a 151 horse second. Lord de Sud faltered. He isn't a 163 horse. Captain Guinness 150. So your man realistically is a 172 horse that had 3 155 horses to beat. So as brilliant as he was, and he did win, outside of Mashborough disappointing, the rest of the race wasn't up to much.
No, it wasn't. And it's going to be interesting to see which of the novice chasers can capitalise and come forward next season. Carg's and Kopeck.
And I think they need to.
Yes.
I think the next crop have to come forward and to see the next champion, because these are beautiful animals, but they're not good enough.
Just on Mashborough, is it a year too soon for him? Do you give him another chance, or is he just too big for the old course at Cheltenham?
I gave him every chance this year. I actually thought the way they rode him in Leopardstown, it's all his in front of him. But Mother Divine, he just lost the plot. He did. He really lost the plot. I was looking at him going, "What are you doing, horse? Please just open your eyes and look at them." It was a disappointing round of jumping now, I must admit. And once he made the first mistake, then the rest seemed to make him more vulnerable to another mistake. It was for a horse that can jump, all right, he has his frailties. Never looks like falling, mind. But it was the first time I looked at him and thought, horse, you could turn upside down jumping like this in a minute now. Yeah. But anyway, he didn't put his best foot forward on this occasion.
It's really frustrating, Jimmy, because the talent is all there. I mean, he might be...
Oh, it's massive talent. Yeah.
Steve Millish was saying he's probably the best chaser in training. Not if you can't jump, you're not. But the talent is there. He just can't. He just can't.
I would have listened to that once, but not now. No, he's not the best horse in training. Gaelic Warrior is.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie, your thoughts on Ilete Tomp? That's his 4th attempt at Cheltenham. First ever time he had Paul Townend on his back, he finally wins. And Mashborough, just the enigma that is Mashborough.
I'm with Tom. I couldn't have him at all. Like after A, Ascot, B, 5th in the Triumph, 5th in the Supreme, 3rd in Arkle. Didn't look comfortable around Cheltenham 3 times. I was like, no. And all of a sudden, great ride by Townend. But I just have this fact about Mashborough. He goes straight too quick at Cheltenham when the ground is good and he doesn't know what to do. Yeah. And then because it's softer ground at the DRF, it was a bog. It was a bog when he beat Carg's in the Triumph Hurdle. I think he just needs soft, heavy ground. He'll win a champion chase in soft, heavy ground. That's just me. But I think he'll go up and trip. But I think if it was soft, heavy, he'd have won that in a canter.
Well, he won't ever win a Queen Mother Champion Chase, because the day we see soft heavy at Cheltenham for any race, it takes about 14 hours for it to go from soft to good ground.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. I mean, like he was lucky at the last of that, Tom. Your heart was in your mouth, like Liberty Hunter. No disrespect.
But that's what I liked about that. Liked about that. He made a mistake, and it frightened him, and he quickened.
And it never looked like, and he quickened and never looked like he took him out of his stride. I will say that. That was unbelievable.
Like he actually frightened himself and picked up and quickened away. And I would say the same. Well, we'll go to that in a minute about Kopeck.
Novice stud, I think it's just fresh, needs heavy ground as well at the start of the season, kind of thing. Captain Guinness is one of Quicksillias. I think just Darragh O'Keefe kept too much up with Mashborough, in my opinion. And it was his first race of the season. Do you know what I mean? Irish Panther in a way when he didn't get to the front as well, but still finished ahead of Mashborough, which is kind of strange. But no, we'll get on to the winner next year.
Yeah, I'd be very concerned about Lotus Sud, first of all, in Grade 1 company. Just can't do it, I don't think. And I'd be very concerned about Quilixios wherever he goes next, because that was a hard race. And you can have a hard race, as we saw with Cargis on your third start of the season and come out. I don't think you can have a hard race first time out and come back from that. But we'll see how he gets on. He's going to be an interesting horse for next season. Obviously, Elete Tom's going to take an awful lot of beating wherever Willie decides to take him. We're going to talk about the novice chasers next, so I'll ask you about the up-and-comers in Kopek to Boards, because it feeds right into what we just talked about. But first of all, a quick word from our sponsors and supporters, huge supporters of the Curragh, including sponsoring 2 races at the Curragh yesterday. The Final Furlong Podcast Maiden, which was won by Henry de Bromhead and Chris Jones, who got a very nice type, and the Final Furlong Podcast Handicap at the Curragh. You can find out more about them by clicking the link in the episode description. Over 7,000 events for you to get stuck into every single day. Fast withdrawals, new customer sign-up offers. It's all available for you on the 1xBet website. Click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right there. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. 1xBet knows the crack. Bet with your head, not above it. Click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website. In Ireland, Cargisi wins the Arkle, which was a pleasing result, although it did look like Kopek de Boards was swinging away on the bridle coming to the last. Poor old Luamba made a bad mistake at the second last. His race was done. But Cargisi benefits from a mistake from Kopek de Boards, although would she have won anyway? Because there was plenty left in the tank under Danny. Great ride from him, great performance from a horse who's been placed in a Triumph Hurdle, won a county, and now won her second Cheltenham Festival race, Tom Malone.
I was very disappointed with Kopek. I thought he folded quickly. I thought, we talk about Elite Thomas made a mistake at the back of the last, and he had so much left in reserve. He just picked up. He just went again. I actually think Kopek flattened out. I was disappointed with that sort of a mistake was able to empty him. I take my hat off to her. Wow, what a performance. Given how hard a race she had in the DRF against Romeo Coolio, who faltered as well this week.
Yeah.
Here's 2 horses now around her, and that tough lady just keeps finding. It's arguable she'd have won anyway.
That's what Jamie was saying just before you came on, actually. I'm not. He literally said, Jamie.
I wouldn't have backed against it. I know that.
Yeah. So your thoughts, spoiler alert, Jamie's thoughts coming.
Yeah, I agree with Tom. I don't think it was all over at all. No. Look, he was coming to win a race. We all know that. But at the start, I think maybe at the start he kind of lost the race, and maybe if he did jump last properly, that would have emptied him up the hill when Cargisi wasn't stopping. That's just me. It wasn't a foregone conclusion. When you look back at it again, regardless, it looked like he was emptying, like we were going about it at Tom. He got over and went again where, like, it really stopped Kopek de Board. Do you know what I mean? And what we would have found, that's the other side of it. So, look, we'll find out again, but I will say if they get it right with him, I think he'll win the Queen Mother next year. I do. He's so talented. It
is arguable he might have needed it a bit more than they thought as well.
100%.
Having not ran since November, it is arguable to say, I know they brought him away, but there is nothing like in the heart of the battle in a race to really have. And maybe he got a bit more tired than they thought, because he does obviously everything so easy, and she was battle hard fit. Either way, it's 2 bloody lovely animals. And if he does come on for the run and needed it a small bit, watch out whatever takes him on next day.
She varies in price from about 8 to 1 to 12 to 1. Mashborough, if you're so inclined, is a 12 to 1 shot, but that obviously comes with a health and wealth warning. Elete Tomp is 9 to 2 to defend his crown. Kopek is 7 to 2, 9 to 2 in and about. Of those horses, which one stands out to you most for the Queen Mother Champion Chase next year?
Kopek de Board for me.
I'll side with that if next time he doesn't falter.
Okay.
I'll go with Elite Tom till I see Kopek absolutely gallop out through a line. And if that's just a fitness thing this time, if he does that, let's say Punchestown time, and he just absolutely gallops through the line, there's only one winner of the Queen Mother next year. But if he kind of falters again, I'm Elite Tom will have him.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to go with Elite Tom. I thought that was I know that you can argue about the finishing position of the race, but you could have said the same thing about Energumene, and he came back and retained his title. Yeah. I'd be more inclined to go with him. Also, Kopek completely blew out a Punchestown a year ago, so hopefully he doesn't do that again. But really interesting horse, and it's going to be interesting to see what those horses can do next season. For the staying chasers, the Brown Advisory, for the first time ever, a Cotto Star winner goes on to win the Brown Advisory. Kitzbühel, brilliant ride from Harry Cobden, brushed himself off after the the farce with no drama at this end beforehand. I'm sure Tom's going to have lots to say about that. But really brave performance in the front end. Final Demand run an absolute screamer. Proves that the DRF run was all wrong. 2 really nice horses for next season, Tom.
Yeah, proper job. I thought Harry Cobden was monster on the jumps that horse was letting. I mean, that definitely helped him do what he done. I thought he was amazing. And such a brilliant ride up the straight too. Gave him enough light to go there. But Paul Townsend knew he does go a little left. But it was a beautiful ride because he can just keep squeezing without actually cutting him off. And he could never quite get there. It was a brave effort. A brilliant ride by Harry. But like you said, 2 proper staying chasers for the future.
What do you think of them for next season, Jamie? Gold Cup, Ryanair, and Kitzbühel obviously stays. This was over 3 mile 1. Final Demand, I would argue, stayed, but I think you feel like you might benefit from coming back.
Yeah, I think he'd benefit for coming back. He kind of reminds me, the size of him, now Tom more than me than this, he kind of reminds me of Allaho. I think if you leave him go over 2.5 miles, I think that was always the kind of plan with him anyway, to let him go out in front. I didn't think he stayed. That's just me. Now, another year older. Look, another year older. We all know he could stay. Kitzbühel is out now.
What are we on about? The winner
Final Demand.
Oh, sorry. Oh, he's a bruiser. He's a bruiser. That's I'd say he's getting close for 17 hands, that horse. He's a bruiser.
Yeah, he's a big horse. Like, he just reminds me of Allaho. I think in a way, I'm not saying he's Allaho, obviously, but I don't know. Does he really stay? Like, Kitzbühel is out now, King George horse. We all know.
Yeah.
Like, if he gets a freebie like he did in the King George, it'd be very hard to pass in the King George. You know,
I actually don't think we've seen the real Final Demand this year.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, I agree.
So I it would be hard pressed to really say he doesn't stay because 3-1 round Cheltenham, whatever you say, he got beat 3/4 of a length. From a horse who says, 3 miles round Kempton would be an awful lot easier track to get across than 3-1 round there. I think he definitely stays, but I just don't think we've seen the real Final Demand this year. I think it's arguable to say you'll see a different horse. Leopardstown, for that horse to run that well, I was with Brian Drew in David Pipe's tent, and for that horse to run that well after what he'd done in Leopardstown, I thought, wow, geez, you are. But there's more under the tank. That's Kitzbühel we're seeing the best of right now. I think we're seeing the real Kitzbühel jumping from fence to fence, Kempton, Cheltenham. I think it's unbelievable horse. But I don't think we've seen near the best of Final Demand yet.
I think Romeo Coolio, I don't know what to make of that. That could ruin him, Emmet. And not being smart, that could ruin him forevermore. Never jumped a twig. Kate Doughty, I thought was just going to strike too quick underground. That was just my opinion. It fell. Western Fold got an awful run. Cocktail Advantage has proved to me he doesn't stay. He'll be in the Ryanair next season. You saw that at the start of the season with Oscar's brothers racing the Florida Pearl. He got to Oscar's brother and just couldn't go again. I know it's after ground, but he just doesn't stay. I thought he was in the wrong race. I thought he'd been there and thereabouts with Meet Me by the Sea in the Jack Richards. So I think he'll go back and trip. Oscar's brother now is ran a great race for horses, supplemented and won a
huge run.
It's an Oscar. They ran 2 great races, those horses, which would be Grand National Irish or English Grand National horses down the line. And they'd be better on a bit of softer ground. Salver ran a great race for horse that I didn't think would run in that ground, to be honest with you. But look, Romeo Cool and Kate Doughty are ones to come back, and will they come back? But Kitzbühel, it looks a different animal when he goes on better ground and jumps way better than it, like when he won the Quarters there. They're 2 massive horses for next season for anyone, but I think Kitzbühel will be very hard to beat in the King George.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, although Gaelic Warrior will probably have something to say about both of those
I don't think you'll see Gaelic Warrior in the King George next year.
Maybe not, but also just remember what the Gold Cup can take out of a horse, and these are going to be the fresh ones coming in. So I would, 100%. As much as I love Gaelic Warrior, and I'm very pleased with what he did, I think I'm more interested in these second season chasers for next year. That's Willie's 3rd consecutive win in the Brand Advisory, his 8th win overall in the race. The betting on Final Demand for the Gold Cup is 16-1. That's probably too big. That's probably just a little bit too big. I'm not. I think I'd side more with Tom than you, Jamie. And that's a 3 mile 1 race. He's just blown out of the DRF and he's come back with a monster effort. There'll be more to come from him. And the problem is Townend going to be on him, or is Townend going to be on Gaelic Warrior, or is he going to be on Kitzbühel?
There's only one horse he can ride next year. There's only one horse he will ride. As providing that the season has gone as normal. If they're all winning, he won't get off a Gold Cup winner to get on to one that might. How can you?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the mistake he'd have made this year if Gallup and Deschamps was in there?
That's what he was saying in the lead up to it as well, that he couldn't bear the idea of not riding Gallup on Deschamps, because if he rode something else and Gallup and Deschamps went flying past him, don't come up to him in the plane.
There still would have been only one winner this year. It wouldn't have been Galloping, unfortunately.
Yeah, and for that reason, you got to feel really sorry for Patrick Mullins, because he's been telling everybody since the start of the season this fellow was going to win the Gold Cup, and
there was next year's Hennessy winner in the RSA as well, in the Brown Advisory.
Salver. Oh, don't hold back now.
Wendigo.
Okay.
He fell when running a big race off 147 next year. If he leaves him at that mark, he's a big player in that Hennessy next year.
Do you think
he ran well? He ran well over 2.5 miles early in the season, didn't he? He won grade 2 there, didn't he?
He won the John Frankham, but I honestly don't think he was flat out from the word go. In actual fact, for him to get back to having a sniff of being in the first 4 or 5 coming down the hill, he was only 6 lengths down when he fell over. So he was still going to finish in the first 4 or 5. And he's off 147, slow ground Hennessy 3.25. There's your early season bet for next year.
All right, folks. Gamble responsibly, obviously, but the betting will be up with 1xBet in Ireland in a couple. We'll try and get it done for you sooner rather than later. But as the new jump season approaches, that's the first one we get stuck into.
Yeah.
Tom, we'll have you back on again to remind everybody.
I haven't even finished this season, and we're talking about next season.
The Wendigo plan is game. The Wendigo Operation Wendigo is in full effect for the Hennessy or whatever it's going to be called by the time that race comes around. Timeform gave him a rating of 150 ? To put some context on that, Kitzbühel was 155, Final Demand 154 plus. Now is the hour got a 150 ? as well. Cocktail Dividend 6146.
And we're talking about them for the Gold Cup next year, and I'm talking about a handicap.
Yeah.
So there it puts it into perspective.
Yeah, great shout. Really interesting running of the Brown Advisory. Willie Mullins, surprise, has got a lot of strength and depth in the staying chase division. How is Grange Clare West still a 10-1 shot for the Grand National? You've been told. Okay, they were the novice chasers for Cheltenham. We're going to switch to the hurdlers, and we'll begin with yet another win for Willie Mullins. This is Lossiemouth, who steps into the champion hurdle. She's finally given her opportunity to go and do it. In the absence of State Man, Sergino, and the former champion Constitution Hill, who was great to see being paraded before the race, Lossiemouth takes her Cheltenham record to 5 from 5, her 4th consecutive Cheltenham Festival win. Really potent turn of foot on that ground, Tom Malone, to comprehensively turn the form around with Brighter Days Ahead, who probably wasn't suited by the drying conditions. She's really quite exceptional, Lossiemouth, when she's on her day.
Yeah, it's this the first. I love the mare, but it's the first time I've looked at her and thought, yeah, you are the real deal. And I really liked, she possibly could have been there last year to win it as well, but she's now champion hurdle winner, and good on her. She's class in abundance. She really has. And again, people are going to say Brighter Days Ahead didn't act at Cheltenham. She absolutely did.
Yeah.
Second in champion hurdle. How can anyone say a mare that's been beaten a length and 6.5 lengths this time hasn't ran? 1 year that she's ran her race. Not good enough over hurdles on this ground against that lady. That doesn't mean she hasn't handled Cheltenham. She absolutely has. But in this conditions, you'll see Brighter Days Ahead over fences, and then she can take on all before her then with a mare's allowance. But against Lossiemouth, she was second best.
Well, it's funny how we learn things. We also learned Gordon was right, that it was the tactical error from Jack Kennedy and Paul Townend, that they were the ones to blame 100%. For both of their respective mares being defeated behind the very admirable Golden Ace. But that's a comprehensive turnaround in form from Brighter Days Ahead to Golden Ace. It's just Lossiemouth is too good.
Golden Ace was possibly going to be beat the same amount she was beat by State Man. She got beat 9 lengths. There's every chance she was going to be beat 6 to 10 lengths by him that day anyway.
Yeah.
And she, as admirable as she is, she's ran a brilliant race. She neon ran to near her mark again.
Yeah, just a much better race this time around, and it didn't have the chaos that last year's race had. Just very briefly on the cheek pieces, Tom, because there was a lot of talk going into it how they might backfire, but they worked beautifully. Yeah,
but I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Aidan O'Brien started using cheek pieces on all these Chester runners to sharpen them up in the D sticks or whatever races they wore. And these brilliant trainers, they do things to change, to flip it up, change an animal as well, something different for an animal. But it doesn't make her any less genuine. It just makes them focus a bit more, especially over the trip.
You just remind me of one horse there, Tom, when you put chickpeas on horse, and one of the worst Derby winners ever I saw. But I did back it. Ruler of the World. You put chickpeas on it. You want this bloody thing.
No, unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a crazy unexposed horse as well. He'd only made his debut as a 3-year-old in an early season maiden. Was it Leopardstown or the Curragh? And then suddenly he's a Derby winner. I remember that very fondly.
I think Alexi was probably robbed for third for bar the mistake. Could have been third. So there's a horse that jumped up massively for the run.
Yeah, they can be very proud of him, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun with him in open company to come. What's the plan with him, Tom? Are they going to go chasing or stay over hurdles?
I would say he was some exciting 2-mile novice chaser next year, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, if they decide to go for
his jumping is electric. Joe, I think Joe might end up siding for that. He has the scope for it. He's very quick and he has a lot of ability. So he would be a smart 2-mile novice chaser next year.
Yeah, I thought Cryptic Jim ran better than the finishing position in the Albert Bartlett as well. So he's going to have a couple of horses for next season. They're going to be really interesting. We'll touch more on that in a little bit. Final thoughts on the champion hurdle overall, Jamie. It's a stunning performance from Lossiemouth. Quevega won 6 consecutive Cheltenham Festival races, all of them in the Fred Winter. This horse is young enough. She's only 7 to be able to emulate that.
She should be a 2-time champion hurdle winner, in my opinion. Yeah. It's like because Richie had all those horses years ago, any power should want 2 or 3 champion hurdles. But unfortunately, she was in the stable full of stars. Unfortunately, but that's just
Faheen,
me. Yeah. Faheen, whoever. But anyway, look. Yeah, brighter days ahead. I don't get people mocking the horse, really. She ran her race and she was beaten by a better horse. Do you know what I mean? And then the third horse, I'd finally give in to him that he does not a 2-miler. Hopefully he stays over hurdles, in my opinion, Emmet. And I think then onto the stairs hurdle with him next season. Hopefully he does stay over hurdles because there's a horse to come back for Willie Mullins, I will say, in Jasmine DeVoe for a stairs hurdle. Now, is he going to be the same horse? We never know. But I hope the new line goes over the stairs hurdle. I'd back him all day for that. Yeah.
Well, I'd have this lad over Jasmine DeVoe every day, the new line.
Yeah.
I think he'd kick him. I think he'd kick him out away.
Yeah, I do too, Tom. It's just hopefully they do decide go to stairs hurdle. Hopefully, but we'll see. I don't know. All depends on another horse. We'll touch on it in another race, Emmet. But I don't know. I just think he's tailor-made for a stairs hurdle now, isn't he?
He certainly looks like it, and also all of a sudden the Brown Advisory form looks all that better. Like the Yellow Clay was cruising when he came down in the Cup or whatever sponsorship that race will have next season. And obviously
the One Expect Coral Cup.
The One Expect Coral Cup, yeah, the final for the podcast. One Expect Cup. Do we still have to call it Coral Cup like the Hennessy? It's just going to be a legacy. That's why you shouldn't sponsor that race. Everyone's going to call it the Hennessy forevermore. That's always going to be the Coral Cup. Yeah,
always be the Betfair hurdle. It's very hard to get away from a long-standing. In actual fact, it's marketing gold when someone does it that are a big name for long enough and then just bow out and it's still called the same race for another 50 years to come.
Yeah, the Schweppes. People still call the big
Schweppes. That's right. Schweppes, Newbury.
Schweppes. It's never going to go.
I always call it the Tokyo Trophy.
That's right.
That's mine. Yeah, that's mine. Yeah, but Copeland does a massive favour.
That's right. Yeah.
So you've got Annie Power, Epatante, twice for Honeysuckle, Golden Ace last year, and now Lossiemouth. It's just very, very difficult to give £7 to a mare of the quality of Lossiemouth. I don't really see a whole lot, Tom, to worry about from the novice turtling division for next season. Maybe something maybe King Rasco Grey, but they always say that about the Turners winner, Sir Gerard in Perry Pass. Ballyburn was the same, and they don't go that route. If they come back for the champion hurdle, she will be hard to beat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I would say to that is, it's not that the mayor's allowance, it's obviously a big help. There hasn't been a good enough one yet to take on a good mare. I mean, we all say it's the £7 that's getting them beat. It's not. It's their lack of being top class. Are you telling me Hurricane Fly and Faheen wouldn't have put her away?
Yeah.
Of course they would.
Yeah.
They'd have put her away. But it's that there's no good gelding coming through in that division until we find another one. Like the new line, as good as he looked, well, he found out he wasn't. So his £7 a big help. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the £7. It's the lack of them being good enough to beat him.
Yeah, and there just isn't something of that quality there right now. We'll talk more about the new line for the stairs hurdle in a second, because we're going to touch on the stairs hurdle. We're also going to touch on Gordon Elliott's winner for the week for the second consecutive year. But first of all, this episode is brought to you by 1xBet. If you're betting in Ireland, you can click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website, the official betting partner of the European champions Paris Saint-Germain and of Barcelona FC. You can join the winning team by clicking the link in the episode description on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to us. It'll take you right there. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Fast withdrawals, new customer sign-up offers, some incredible one, particularly this week. Check it out now. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply, and all that jazz. The Mare's Hurdle goes to Wadu. It's her second consecutive win at the Cheltenham Festival, having won the Martin Pipe last year. Her only defeat came at the hands of Lossiemouth. She's a proper Grade 1 performer, and she gets her deserved Grade 1 win. And I'm sure it was much relief for Gordon Elliott. You could see what it meant to him and his whole team, Tom.
It was amazing. And like you said, he took a lot of bullets over there, and for this one to be the only one to fire was a shock for him. But I needed one as well. But yeah, what an amazing mare! Like to run that many times, 11 times over hurdles and win 10 of them, and only be beaten by a champion hurdle winner, says it all, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? You have to love what she does. I thought for a stride, I didn't know how well he was going, but the minute Paul Townend sat down on his backside on Jade de Gruge, I thought, that's good enough. It's all over now. This mare will keep galloping. And she does enough without doing loads.
Yeah, that's the smallest field for the race since its inception in 2008. Is that something for Cheltenham to be worried about? Or given the fact that there was such a big field for the Mare's Novice Hurdle, can they be a little bit more optimistic for next year?
Yeah, well, there's a lot more mares being bought now than ever before, so I'd say that'll right itself in time.
Okay. What did you make of Wadu overall, Jamie?
Yeah, very good. I suppose a lot of people will say that Jade de Gruge made a Horlicks at the first and she was on the back foot all the way. And she did come there. But the thing with Woodhu, regardless of that, is that you come to her, she goes again.
Yeah.
She goes again.
And she just keeps going. And I always say, if I'd love her in the stairs hurdle getting £7 allowance, I will say, because she'd love that. That's just me. Look, she could be a multiple winner of this, Emmet, all going well. But the mares coming up from the Mare's Novice, they'd have to prove a ton to beat her.
Yeah.
Look, Jade de Gruge might have a crack at her again next year. That's about to me the way it's working out. But yeah, she's a great mare. She's a very good horse. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, she could win. She could be another multiple winner of it. To be honest, that's all I have to say at this present moment in time with the race. Yeah.
Well, depending on which preview night you listen to, because he was very confident about Favori de Chamdeau, and I have no doubt, all due respect to Gavin Cromwell, and it was great to see his horses running so well. If Favori de Chamdeau hadn't acted the maggot beforehand, I'm pretty sure he would have won that race, but he blew it completely at the start, and that was a kick in the nuts. But well,
if he hadn't won at Cheltenham and went up £13 the day before, he could have done what he liked at the start, and he just still won.
Yeah, the rise in the weights did not help him at all either.
The Cromwells knew what they were doing in January in the trails.
Yeah. Well, the horses were sick then, Jamie, and now they're all good. So yeah, Gavin's team were on fire all week.
Oh, hold on, Emmet. Were they sick back Contis?
Hey! Poor old Sivignacco was a fantastic horse, but he hated that hill. Absolutely hated it. Wadu, on the other hand, loves it. She's a fantastic horse. She's probably going to go for the entry hurdle next. And deserved win for her. If they can get the jumping right on Jade de Gruge, she could be very interesting for the Mare's Chase next season. As for the stairs hurdle, history is made. For the first time in the 101-year history of Cheltenham, a horse who was having their fifth attempt at a championship race finally wins it. Home by the Lee. Tom, you could have given me 10 goes at the race and a load of counterfeit cash and a boatload of crypto, and I still wouldn't have backed him.
Yeah, and to be fair to the horse, you have two other horses that, well, people said Ballyburn was very unlucky. Cabral de Matin looked like there was only one winner in the whole race and just blatantly didn't stay. And that his speed, it was good of them to try it, because now they don't have to try it again. You can run over 2.5 miles and say, but what if he gets 3 miles? Right, now they know he doesn't. Great. But I'm telling you now, whatever he runs in next, everyone will want to back him. He'll be long odds on favourite for whatever race he goes. Because if he went for 2.5 now, maybe it would be hard pressed to see something beating him the way he travelled through that race the other day.
Yeah, for sure. There was a few skeleton horses that cruised through. Load of Sud cruised through. Money Garrow went through the Albert Bartlett, like the best horse in the race. Just didn't come up the hill for whatever reason. That was a bit of a sickener. I was screaming here, going, "How far?" But it doesn't give up.
Again, there you go. He's not bred to see that trip out as well. When you get to these 3 mile staying trips at Cheltenham, by God, you have to have that there in the back, or you're just a complete freak. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not so sure he was bred for it, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I had his brother I had his brother.
Cabral
I
de
bought
Matan?
his brother, and they were. No, I'm on
Moneygarrow.
about Moneygarrow. I had his brother, and he was like a 2.5 miler, and plenty of the pedigree. I know all that pedigree. It's a bit. There's a lot of German in it.
Yeah.
And it's not crying out for 3 miles anyway. That's for sure.
He's a Shantu out of a monsoon mare, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's what made me think, he'll come up that hill, no problem. But no. Oh well, there'll be other days with Moneygarrow. You shouldn't go too much up in the handicap weights, and they should be able to have a bit of fun with them.
I'd say if I'm being honest, I think he'll be coming back down 5 or 6 pounds.
Certainty, lads, for a handicap.
Little race next year.
Get on into the Jack Richards next year.
Yeah, nice little handicap chasing plot for that horse next season. Remember, Moneygarrow goes straight into your tracker.
Mightn't even be chasing. He might stay hurdling.
Oh, lads.
It's not a big family. It's not a big family. They're not big, huge horses, so he might stay hurdling.
Get him into the Coral Cup, 1xBet Cup, whatever we're going to call it next year. All right, Tom by the Lee wins. Look, let's give him his flowers first of all.
Oh, absolutely. An 11-year-old. He has been to every dance, and he finally gets his dance. He wins his dance, so you can't knock the horse. My God. Any owner would love to own him. 35 runs, 12 wins, 600 grand in prize money. Do you know, you say what you like about him, and people can call him a monkey. He didn't turn up this day. By God, he turns up a lot of days.
Yeah, and with a little bit of a cleaner run through in previous years, Jamie, he may very well have won. And this time around, it's Ballyburn who doesn't get the clear run at the end of the race. But that doesn't really matter to JJ Slevin and to Joseph O'Brien, who has yet another winner at the Cheltenham Festival. Again, couldn't have had him on my mind, Jamie, but he is the Stayers Hurdle winner. And we're beginning to see a bit of a trend when it comes to the age profile of the winners in this race, Jamie.
I want to back him if you give me Monopoly money. Trying to no. Hope in the hell, like. How is that? It's like with third of early one. How did that horse win the Stayers Hurdle? But anyway, Ballyburn, I don't know what to make. I love the horse. We like the horse. I don't know what to make of that horse. So, like, he's so talented. He's so quirky. Paul Townend was at pains not to look another horse in the eye for half a circuit. He was nearly out with over the stand where the camera is, going around the bend in front of the stands first time around. I was like, what is he doing? But look, you question mark, does he really stay? I suppose he does if he just becomes to learn how to just drop anchor and to become a proper racehorse. I don't know.
But
I just understand.
You say that in animals. Animals are creatures of habit.
He
will never drop anchor. That is just not this horse. From the day we've seen him in a point, all the way through his novice career, he does what he does. How he hasn't knocked his teeth out with his own hooves. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But that is the only way you can ride him to truly see out. And he got the trip. One of his highest racing post ratings are up there with them. So he truly got the trip. There was no problem with the trip in the end. But cleaner run through, he'd have been beaten home by the Lee, who you wouldn't have put a fiver on, or a razoo, as you say. Yeah. So is that brilliant Stayers Hurdle form? No, but it's the Stayers Hurdle form that's in front of you. It's not making him a champion stayer, is it?
I have a couple of questions for you, Tom. First of all, how difficult is it for Paul to ride him, considering the fact that you don't have the wind protection, if you like, from his head because he's down so much? And secondly, when he does have his head down so much, why does he then suddenly pop his head back up, not at the hurdle, but well before it? He can do it when he wants. He just, for some reason, has to have it down the whole way.
So you've answered your own question. It's his favoured way of galloping, but once a hurdle is within 12, 16 strides, he spots his own. That's why Paul Townsend doesn't mind riding him. The confidence is there. The horse knows what he's looking at and looking for. And then after that, he's just down to, that's what he likes to do. Why would you interrupt it? Why would you try and change it? I mean, it doesn't look pretty. And I know if I was riding him, which thankfully they're thankful I'm not, I'd be thinking, get your head up, horse. Will you come up here and look at what you're doing? So, but thankfully he's ridden 5 Gold Cups and hundreds of Grade 1 winners. It doesn't need me to be on his back, I can tell you. Yeah, but a brilliant horse. I'm
pleased to see him back in form as well. Like, it was a huge run behind Tiapu in the Hatton's Grace. That's a huge run as well. I'd be fairly confident.
It's amazing what... Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I'll be fairly confident he'll turn that form around at Punchestown. I think that race is probably made for him, really.
Yeah, and it's amazing what going chase and losing your confidence can do to a horse. You can just lose them and then they get rolling again. He could come back now next year and take all before him because now he's got roll and he's settled down for the season. He's got better with each run. And to me next year could be a good year for him again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. A real one.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Tiapu's been around. He didn't kind of bombed out in that race, but then the yards horses weren't bouncing all week, so maybe he can, but he's getting a bit long, and Ballyburn's only 8. Do you know what I mean? So there could be a year or two in the staying division for him now.
Ground was probably a little bit too lively on the day for Tiapu as well, whereas it was just ideal for Ballyburn, and I think there'll be more days with him. Whether he wins a better Stayers Hurdle next season remains to be seen, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if you see a lights out show from him at Punchestown. And that finally makes people realise just how good the horse can be. Final thoughts on the Stayers Hurdle, Jamie, particularly Cabral de Matin, who I'm sure the in-running players were like, this is over.
I'm sure Cabral de Matin would go up against Woodhu in the entry hurdle. I'd say, or they'll keep him for the select hurdle 2 miles 6 at Sandown at the end of the season. Try to, if the Willie Mullins comes up with a wet sail, trying to win the Trainers' Championship. Bob Allinger, look, Admiral, will you see him again at Cheltenham again? Maybe. He's 11-year-old, 12-year-old, isn't he? Last his unbeaten record there. Still ran a great race. No, honesty policy for how young he is. Still around, 6.5 lengths behind. That's still a good run for a horse.
That's a monster run for a 6-year-old. In a staying hurdle. That, make no bones, to me, he's the one I'm taking out of the race.
Yeah, 100%.
Make no bones. And next year, he'll have that 6 and 10 lengths in front of him. Do you know what I mean? And he'll be the stayer on track next year. He really will. Him and Ballyburn are the two from that division that I seen in that race that I thought, you two boys have been locking horns next year.
And very disappointed with Marshantu. I don't know what happened there.
It was too,
And then Pose Edouard
was dreadful.
I don't know what's happened to that horse since he won it. That's got the grade one. So I don't know. Maybe just run too many times this season, maybe, Emmet, or something like that, because I didn't understand why they went to the Cleeve Hurdle that day. I don't know what to make of them two, but I agree with Tom. It's Ballyburn and Honesty Policy, what you've seen from this year, and then coming through the likes of the New Line and maybe, hopefully, Jasmine DeVoe comes back next season. That'd be my thinking. Yeah.
That's the Stayers Hurdle division. We'll go to the Novice Hurdlers. A 1, 2, 3, 4 for Britain. And Old Park Star is now 4 from 4 over hurdles, sourced by Tom Malone, a transformed horse since he went to Nicky Henderson, and this was a pretty spectacular performance. For all that it was controversial, because my Daddy Paddy was coming with a wet sail, Sober Glory had run an absolute monstrosity of a race, another one sourced by Tom Malone. He looked all set to win the race. Mistake at the end costs him, but he rallies back really well. These are 3 very nice horses for next season. Overall thoughts on the Supreme, Tom?
We'll be talking about these 3 animals for a long time to come. It's arguable Sober Glory should have won a length or 2.
Yeah.
If most animals jump the last and do what he done, they finish third, beaten 5 lengths. They do not get back up for second, and they don't get beat a length and a half. So it's arguable he is the winner of that race. And Dan Skelton probably has the age on his side, being a 5-year-old. They're 3 really smart animals. He's the one that could step forward for Dan next year to be a champion hurdle type horse in his own right. He has the speed, the acquired speed, to be a potential proper champion hurdle. Sober Glory is a very interesting horse in that he can take a lot of horses out of their comfort zone, and he's in his. The mistake was so stupid for him. He kind of pricked his ear, caught the crowd, caught something, and it just unsighted him. Old Park Star, wow, when he goes over fences. So you've 3 really exciting horses in that race. And I'm delighted. I'm actually, the race could not have run it from a first, second, third, fourth, fifth. The race could not have worked out better in my mind, judging it going in. Right, the 3 horses. My Daddy Paddy maybe a bit. He improved more than I thought he would. How nice is Harry Fry's horse?
Yeah.
So, and he didn't get there. But Baron Noir and El Cairo, the talk about El Cairo, I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get it because the day he was let down in the Punchestown bumper, he probably should have beaten said horse, Baron Noir, 2 lengths. Well, he was 50-1 for the race. He wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
But because he'd won a maiden hurdle and he looked like he was really, really sharp and free, it wasn't graded for him. So it was kind of justification for how it should have panned out. And I was well happy with that race, if I'm honest.
Well, it's another example of how an unlucky loser gets marked up for that performance. Like, he was made Supreme Novice Hurdle favourite on the back of a fall. It's just crazy. And also, that form didn't work out either of that race. He beats Rock Dino.
But it was because of Jack Kennedy. It was because of Jack Kennedy.
Yeah, it's Jack is swinging away on the bridle. It's Gordon Elliott. The horse is going to improve. He's going to improve for the jockey change as well. And all of that just didn't transpire at all.
remember, he was trained by Gary Moore.
Yeah.
He wasn't coming from a yard that doesn't train Grade 1 winners.
Yeah.
You know, when I heard all that, like, anyway, hype is brilliant, because that's why if you're back and then you're a punter, you have to see around that and see through it. And it was an amazing race to watch.
The most valuable commodity in horse racing is potential. That applies not only to people at the sales who are trying to buy the next superstar horse,
100%.
It also applies to bettors as well, and it's up to us to try and see past that. Mighty Park, massive talking horse, half brother to Mike Bite, who's a walk in the park. How the hell was that fella 3-1 for a Supreme? That was crazy. If he goes and backs it up, then it's a different story, but he didn't. Just before I go to Jamie, for the Arkle next season, presumably both of these horses, the 1-2 go novice chasing, there's the potential that My Daddy Paddy stays over hurdles. Which of the two do you think is better suited? Because to my mind, 7-1 Sober Glory for the Arkle, that's the bet, for all that Old Park Star is going to be with the winning most Arkle trainer in history in Nicky Henderson, but he's a 4-1 shot.
Pass. If the same things happen, I ain't going to be disappointed, am I? How could you judge between the two of them? They're two amazing animals. I remember turning for a home and I was sitting, I had one set of connections on my left and the other, and I'm going, can't really start cheering here, really, because I don't know which way to look. But it was amazing. They're two high class horses. Which one will improve more for a fence? I think they're both amazing jumpers. By and large, Sober Glory made a mistake, but on the whole, they're amazingly good jumpers. So I would have thought, that's a silly thing to say, but I can't really get between them, because both of them have so much cruise. They can cruise and jump, and it's very hard to see past them. Maybe Old Park Star might be a bit more tractable in a race. You can sit in third or fourth.
Yeah.
Sober Glory can do that, but he just tends to just hank along there in front, and you don't break his stride. So I'm talking too much about the pair of them. I can't split them, if I'm honest. And the prices, 4 and 7s, would you take either right now? No chance. Now, that's not juicy enough to take a price at this early stage for an Arkle next year.
Well, I'm afraid the sorry state of the betting world is that's just the way it is now. It used to be you'd be getting 16-1 about the Supreme Novice Hurdle runner-up, but that's gone. So 8-1 is...
So who's at fault then? The betting exchanges are at fault. Why aren't they giving them prices now? Do you know what I mean? Given we're 12 months away and whatever could happen then. It's not like it's non-run or no bet.
No, it's not. If you're taking 8-1 about Sober Glory and he falls at the first on his chase debut, and then the Hobbs team come out and say, well, actually, we're going to go back over hurdles, which is unlikely, but you are taking a massive risk, in fairness. Look, I love Sober Glory, Jamie. It's really interesting what the betting market got right and what it got wrong. It was very right about Sober Glory running a huge race. Monster gamble on him.
Huge gamble, wasn't he?
Huge gamble. I'd love to take credit for it, but it wasn't us, I'm afraid. And look, it was a pleasing start for the podcast because we were all over Old Park Star, and Sober Glory was considered by me and a couple of others to be the big danger to him, so couldn't have worked out better. Obviously, sympathies to yourself there with the massive 50-1 docket on My Daddy Paddy. You were probably looking for the stewards to intervene, but they weren't having any of it. But a thrilling renewal of the Supreme, Jamie.
I'm going to give myself a big hit now, Emmet, because I mentioned Old Park Star when he won at Kempton 11-2 on this podcast. I said, I told you it's a good horse.
Yeah.
Without knowing Tom Malone, I told you it's a good horse. No, I'd with Tom. I can't split them for next season. They're two great Arkle. They'll be great two Arkle horses. I can't split them at the moment. Maybe over mile 7.5 in the Arkle. That is Sober Glory went out, bucked out in front. It'd be very hard to catch.
Yeah, that's my thinking.
Tentatively go with Sober actually at the moment.
Yeah.
From what I saw in the Supreme. Yeah, My Daddy Paddy, I think, will stay hurling, and they'll have a crack at last him out with him. I will say that. They tried the new line. I think they've learned a lot. So now they're going to have a crack at My Daddy Paddy. Bar Noir and El Kairos is exactly what happened to Punches Out. I think El Kairos, I felt for a horse like El Kairos years ago when I was started punting, Emmet. No, I don't fall for that type of horse anymore.
What was the horse? What was the horse? The horse you fell for years ago.
Oh, that horse that was beaten by it went favoured for the Supreme. I had a line in it. Irving for Paul Nichols.
Yeah.
His owners watched the show.
Type of horse, speedy horse in a stair track. Yeah.
I actually bought him in Germany. He won the fight in fifth. He won the fight in fifth two or three times.
At least twice.
Yeah, my father's English, Tom. So I knew a fellow. My cousin knew a fellow who was bought with accent, and we were getting the line from him, and he'll win this and he'll win that, and all of a sudden then we fell into him. Oh no. And I said, after that, I'm not falling for that type of horse anymore. And Ella Kyer just reminds me of that flat track flat track, small little speedy. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you put him around Angel, you probably win or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Too bossy for us. Oh yeah. Like, if he rocks up in that 2 mile handicap of Punchestown on the first day of the festival, I'm going to have a good bet, man. I really like that. Was a great run. I know, like, Leader Deli was an runner, but Townend switched it. Talk to Talk was in the wrong race. Cocktail Brute needs soft ground. Mighty Park, big, huge, massive horse. He'd probably make a stay in chase, or like he'd probably. I don't know what to make of him. But look, I'd have to see him again to make judgment of him, because look, I think the experience just caught him out. Each their own was just too keen through the race. But the one look, you have your Arkle horses, you have your Champion Hurdle horses, you've El horses, I think is a flat track horse. But if I can go over a handicap winner, and if he runs in a handicap next time, too bossy for us, keep an eye and put him in your tracker.
Mighty Park.
And I don't.
Sorry, John. Mighty Park may very well win the Brown Advisory next season, but that doesn't explain why he was being talked up for a Supreme. I don't get it. He's a giant of a thing. Like, he was never,
he's in the wrong race as well.
Never going to be suited to this.
I don't think talk to talk. I see what you say about the wrong race, but the race had nothing to do with it in the end. He didn't stay. He didn't finish strongly of any description in that race. I was disappointed with what the one thing he done in Leopardstown on heavy ground was he found a length and a half or two on heavy ground. So he found the gear. He found no gear in the Supreme, and that wasn't down to ground. That wasn't down to race. That was down to the horse. And to me, he looked very, very trained and light looking in the paddock for me. Do you know what I mean? So there was no bulk on him in the paddock. I know it's the end of a long year, but there was nothing for me in the end. So I don't think we've seen near as good as Talk to Talk in the Supreme.
It didn't bode well, though, that he's been hocked around, basically, or at least it's been known that if you want to buy him JP, you can. That doesn't exactly inspire massive amounts of confidence in what that horse is going to be. Better result for Joseph in the Turners. He gets third with Zeus Power, but no match at all for Active Innocence, who runs a blinder, and of course King Rasco Grey. Willie Mullins was saying he looked like a pregnant mare at the DRF, and he couldn't see how the other horses would come on better than him. And then he was... That
actually broke my heart when I heard that, because I underbid King Rasco Grey at the Land Rover sales when they bought him. Myself and Willie and Harold went toe-to-toe from about 140. He ended up making 250 as a store, having never seen a saddle. But when I tell you, this is as nice a store as I've ever seen. And we were all right. He's won the Turners.
Yeah.
So he is a cheap horse now. Whatever he cost, he didn't. I remember that. And then when I heard that Willie said he was pregnant when he was beside Ballyfad and what else was upside him, on the day, I knew, I've made a mistake here, as in I should have backed this horse. Willie thought when he was 2-3 to 1, he couldn't believe he was 11 to 1 in the end. He just couldn't believe. He doesn't follow betting, but when he seen that amount, he just couldn't see how it was 11 to 1.
Yeah, and of course Townend chooses him. He's the novice hurdler that pops up for the Mullins camp. The rest of them were all... I mean, Bambino Fever was dreadful in the mare's novice hurdle. I know she probably didn't like the ground, but the others were all much of a muchness, essentially. But look, King Rasco Grey was a really good winner. Talk of the champion hurdle for him, Jamie, next season, but just... Hold up.
King Rasco.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Willie said the exact same thing about Sir Gerard, the exact same thing about Imperi Pass, and the exact same thing about Ballyburn. So maybe don't be going mad for the champion hurdle.
King Rasco Grey for the champion hurdle.
Yeah, that was mentioned. Yeah.
Oh wow, no.
Yeah.
I got it. Look, I'll put my hand up here. One horse I got very badly wrong. King Rasco Grey. I couldn't have him at all. I just didn't see enough of the DRF. I was with Peter Michael and we were watching it. I goes, I don't know. I got him totally wrong, and I put my hands up totally wrong.
So I'd ask another question there. So you're a punter. Would you take notice of an animal then in the ring, given the trainer said he was as fat as a fool? Do you know what I mean? Would you take notice of something like that to make that he actually got within a half a length of Grade 1 horses?
I thought Tom at the race, I thought he'd end up in the 2-miler. I thought he'd end up in the Supreme. So that's why I couldn't have him for the Turners. Do you know what I mean? And I do. Yeah, you do take trader comments on board. I would say that.
Yeah.
But I just thought, I don't know. I thought he should have, even if they said fat as a fool in the parade ring, I thought he didn't go through the race at the DRF. That's just me. Regardless, I understand with the fat as a fool, I thought, yeah, you're there, you're going to win. And he just didn't, Talk to Talk came around and Ballyfad out battled him. And that's what put me off. I was like, oh no. But I got him totally wrong. Totally wrong. I just didn't understand that. But yeah, Active Innocence, Kane there, looked like the winner. Look, there could have been a lot of hard luck stories in this, Emmet, to be honest with you. The start was farcical. Do you know what I mean? It was. Look, never got to the front. I thought that ran a very good race, I thought, for the Queelies in the circumstances, and I thought he's better on softer ground. Same with Bossman Jack. Shut diplomacy for my local man, Tom Cooper, ran a very good race. They all kind of finished the heat, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? Like the two were in front, and then the rest of them finished neat, and a great, like Sue's Power stayed on. Ballyfab was disappointed. Sortulo, apparently it was lit up, as George said, and saying that I was disappointed with him. Sober ran no race. No Drama to Sin ran no St. Backup. Fell Skylight Hustle ran with the choke out at the start. So look, until I see them all again, because it's a 22 runner race, I'd have to question the form. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. At the moment. Now, they look like very good horses. There's no doubt about that. But I'd have to go through them all again when I see them again, if you know what I mean. You'd have to wait till they all run again to see how good the race was, because you've never seen the size of a field like that compared to years ago when it was called the Sunderland Turtle. So, do you know what I mean? So, look, King Rasco looked a very good horse, and Active Innocent looks a very good horse going forward. He'll be fine chasing next season, I would say that. But I'll just have to see them all again before I take enough note of what to think of the race in general going forward.
Having sourced No Drama This End and seeing him unbeaten in 3 starts over hurdles, how frustrated were you, Tom, with the start?
Yeah, I mean, he's not finished with his one bad race, but we'll live to fight another day.
Okay. Can he do a Denman? Can he win? Can he bounce back from defeat in the Turners to win the Brown Advisory?
Yeah, but Denman was beaten half a length in the race.
Yeah, slightly different. Slightly different thing.
So he has a long way to go. He has a long way to go to be Denman. Long way. But you don't rack up 2 grade 2s and a grade 1 and then be no good. So whether that's good enough to be a proper grade 1 horse or not, we'll have to wait and see, but it'll be next year, I'm sure.
Well, on a line through, Clint Madrique, who's beaten 6 3/4 lengths, No Drama This End should have been right up there. He should have been at least in the first 3, and that's not how it worked out. So, a frustrating one for the whole team involved in it.
And Cobden was getting a bit of stick for the ride. He can't help it if the horse isn't underneath him. You know, it's end of the day. You know, the horse has to be underneath you.
You either have the horse or you don't, and he did not have the horse on the day, and that start didn't help matters.
On the day, no matter what happened with a start, no matter how, he would be unlucky in the end. He'd have been an unlucky finisher in the end. Ballyburn got a bad run round, but still managed to be up the backsides of them and get there, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So the best horse still gets away with it.
The start was a complete mess. It then led to a massive clash between Declan Queally and Nico de Boinville. I really would have just preferred this to play out in the changing room, lads, in the weighing room. One if you just go up to the other and lash it out there. That we don't need to be hearing about this stuff.
I was surprised at Decky saying anything really, whatever about Nico saying something. But anyway, listen, and then to see that handshake at the weighing room doors, Mother of Christ, talk about cringeworthy, honestly. Cringeworthy.
It was like 2 fellas in a hostage situation being forced to be there. I was expecting like a copy of a paper with today's date on it, just as proof of life on it.
Unbelievable.
The whole thing was cringe, really unbelievable. Cringe. If you've ever been to a hurling match, if you've ever been to a Sunday League game, you've heard all kinds of stuff said. It doesn't mean that it's okay that that's said, but you deal with that outside of things. And unfortunately, because a formal complaint was made, that's not the end of it. It is going to drag out because the BHA have to get involved now, and that's a real shame, I would say. That was the Turners. The Albert Bartlett is another winner for Tom Malone. You sourced the winner for Jamie Snowden. He's now unbeaten in 2 starts for Jamie Snowden as well. Johnny's Jury, and look, he did it very, very well. The reason that we call it the potato race is because it's an insane race. It can go to anything. The average price for the last 10 runnings of the SP is over 20.7 to 1, and it's another 20 to 1 winner. Maybe Dr. Steinberg's race was run before the race even began, but we tried to urge caution in this race. Swing for the fences at something at a big price. Well, Johnny's Jury wins at 20 to 1, beats a 28 to 1 shot, and the passing wife was 11 to 1, Gavin's horse, towards the end. Tom, well done with Johnny's Jury. At some strip up and trip, 2 miles, 2 mile hurdle winner to 3 mile Albert Bartlett, but man, he did it well, and an ice cool ride from Gavin Sheehan as well.
Well, it's amazing. Sometimes you're better be born lucky than anything, because he was balloted out of the Turners. He was meant to go to the Turners. And he was balloted out of Turners. So it's amazing. Yes, the 2 miles that he went to Exeter first time out and outstayed Pourquoi Papa of Paul's. That was fourth was he fourth in the Fred Winter or the Triumph?
Fred Winter.
Yeah. So he outstayed him. And then he went to Carlisle and stayed. So both staying 2 mile heavy ground tracks. Then to step up, Jamie Snowden, brilliant man at start off in 2 miles and step him up. But he had to go for the 3 mile race. Were to be ridden handy, and he missed the start. He was last. So the best thing that ever happened was pure luck on this occasion.
He's done it really well. I mean, he's going to be a nice horse going forward, but it's worth bearing in mind Paisley Park and Thistlecrack were both well beaten in this race. They came out and won a stairs hurdle. Horses can improve dramatically for the race, Jamie. What did you make of it overall?
Fair play to Tom, but I'm sorry, I'm going to be pig ignorant, Tom. I'm going to be pig ignorant here. I didn't even know he was in the race.
No one did.
As horrible as it sounds, and I'm not being smart, fair play to you. Like, he was stolen. I watched the race back today. I was like, how did he win? I'm like, how could your fruit come here, who was beaten very well in the Lawlers, ran a great race, to be honest with you. Look, Passing White travelled like the best horse in the race. But exactly what you said earlier, Emmet. Spinning the yarn, got a Cryptic Jim, Money Garrow, the Devil, like they all travelled like they were going to win.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, then they saw the hill and went, went to the final flight. No, we don't like this now. To be honest, looking back, I don't know how the Passing White didn't win. But fair play to Johnny Sure, he came from last. My God, Dr. Steinberg was probably in the wrong race now if you technically look at it. Ran with the choke out.
Choke out the whole way. Yeah.
Whole way, like, do you know what I mean? And he's a good horse, Dr. Steinberg. I think just come back and trip with him and let him go and whatever. I don't know what to make of the race, to be honest with you. Look, I'll have to see them all again, to be honest with you, and I'm not being smart with you. It's just, fair play to Johnny Shurry and Jamie Stone. It's great to see someone else win a great one at Cheltenham, bar the big guns. And Jamie Stone's a talented trainer, and we just give you the Hennessy winner from Tom Malone. So you can't say that about it. And he's won multiple horses. Remember, it was at that Ballyalton won the Novice handicap years ago. But fair play to him. I don't know what to make. I'd have to see all those horses again before I make a judgment on how good the form is.
Yeah, I would be questioning the form massively myself, if I'm honest. I still think Cryptic Jim is a very nice horse, and he only finished 7th, 8th in it. Do you know what I mean? So there'll be lots of nice horses come out of it. The only good thing I would say about Johnny's is that he has the pedigree to be a top class horse. He's a brother to Appreciate it, Danny Kerwin and all them horses. So the pedigree was there. He cost 150 grand as a store horse. Was third in a novice hurdle for Nicky, and then Amory Holden's father sent them all to the sale. So the pedigree's just creeping through it now, more so than everyone thought of the ability of him, if I'm honest.
75 grand you picked him up for, having been a 150,000 euro store horse. I mean, you've basically stolen him.
Now, when we talk about abuse online, the abuse I got that night, this is why he is no good at his job. He's gone and given 75 grand out of Nicky Henderson's yard for a horse that he obviously didn't want. And the abuse I got online that night, I'd love to go back and find it and send a couple of fingers back to him, but you know what? I'm there. That's crap.
You should take that back. You're a disgrace. You're only in the bottom of the barrel now. Coming out with that sort of a statement.
So that's for one. We can also fire a bit of...
You all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
There you go. That's what the trolls get. Unbeaten in 3 in a Cheltenham Festival Grade 1 winner. So goodbye. Very goodbye for 75k. And of course you win that, more than win that on the day as well. The amount of horses who come out of this race who turn out to be quite good, who didn't run the race on the day, is Thistlecrack and Paisley Park, to just name but a few.
There's been plenty of horses beaten in this race that are better than the actual winners. I remember Balbrickin Storm won it at a big price for the Tizards, and he ended up being, a nice horse without being a good one, and plenty of nice ones behind him, better horses behind him.
Well, plenty. Santini was. But it's a crazy race. It's a 3 mile race on an undulating track, going at a helter-skelter pace with a massive atmosphere that these horses have never experienced before. It's understandable that some of them just are not going to cope with it. Money Garrow, got to be in your trackers. Maybe down in trip, but
I will say one horse that should be in your tracker as well. I'm sorry, I forgot to say it. Is Espresso Milan. I thought he travelled very well into the
I'd
race
agree
and
with
just
that,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah. He's a fine stamp of a chaser. Yeah, you could see that.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with
Yeah,
that too.
he's definitely wanted to. When I watched it today or before I came on here, yeah,
Okay.
he definitely caught my eye.
That was a frustrating race for some, but well done to Tom Malone. The Mayor's Hurdle Mayor's Novice Hurdle was an incredibly frustrating race for me. Imagine working out that the winner is going to come from the Jane Seymour Novice Hurdle, being all over Kingston Queen, and the horse she beat is the one that comes out and wins the race at 40-1. Well done to the Bailey and Nichols team with White Noise. Old School Outlaw ran a huge race. A shout out to George Gorman with Place de la Nation. Couldn't have had that horse at all. Ran the blinder to be third. Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Tom, your thoughts?
Disappointed with Kingston Queen, if I'm honest. Can't really say it was down to ground, maybe trip, but sure, White Noise was in front was in front of her in Cheltenham, and she'd already beaten her. So I don't think she ran a race. To be fair, solid race, good solid mares that won it. Don't know if there was any champions there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And Bambino Fever never really went at all, Jamie.
Very disappointed with her.
Yeah.
Very disappointed. I think you knew your race was running. She jumped the first. That was just me. Look, I forgive her going forward. I don't have to forgive and type, but yeah, I get something that Mayor's Novice sometimes, you know yourself over the years, Emmet, and Tom will say the same. It doesn't stand up when you go further into championship races down the line. I will say that. Yeah. It's another race. I'm saying the same thing again. Is that you'd have to see him again. I wouldn't give up on Bambino. No. Her race was running to start and jumping the first.
Too bad to be true. It was way too bad to be true.
Way too bad to be true. Yeah, not much for me on that race now, to be honest with you. Yeah, I will tell you the favourite, and Adam Mills is right for the favourite. Who's going to be the favourite for the race next year? Yeah.
Who's that?
Mete on Santra, who was second in the bumper.
Yeah, possibly. She did travel very well. That's going to be an interesting one when we talk about the Triumph Hurdle now, because obviously someone's going to want to change the rules again. Oh, Willie Mullins coming here with a horse that's only raced in France.
How can they change them again? That's horrific. You don't do that, because then if someone tries to change that rule again, that's horrific.
Well, they can't, Tom.
The man has enough of them.
Here's why, Tom. They can't do it because the Skeltons ran a horse that had no British or Irish experience in the bumper, because Paul Nicholls won the Coral Cup with a horse that had no experience of racing in Britain. So Ben Pauling had the favourite for the Fred Winter in Bad, who had no experience of racing in Britain or Ireland. A few years ago, Rachel Blackmore booked a ride. Like, you can't do it this time, because if you do, you're going to anger all of those people that want these ex-French horses to race first time out.
Yeah.
So he kind of has them by the balls with this Triumph Hurdle winner, and it's a first Grade 1 win over obstacles for Patrick Mullins at the Cheltenham Festival too. Couldn't have had it with counterfeit, by the way, but well done to anybody who did back Willie Mullins, winner of the Triumph Hurdle. What did you make of the race overall, Tom?
I thought it was fine. I didn't, like I said, there was a few car crash stories in it, but grand. Didn't excite me in the end, if I'm honest.
Yeah, we were all over Macho Man. Who knows what would have happened? He obviously had to pull up after a bad mistake. It's just one of those races, Jamie. The closer we got to it, the more I was kind of urging, especially on TalkSport, this is a proceed with caution race. This is a play spot bet only race. You just couldn't be confident about any of them.
I was roaring at the television. I thought I was going to win. My stroke on yeah. But
except
I didn't
for
see
Jaime
Patrick
Wrenn.
Mullins come up. I never saw Patrick Mullins come up my inside. I thought Selma de Very was just a bit too keen to race wide. I think Townend was so at pains to keep her away from everything, and then try to get the rail. And then I don't know. But look, you'd have to see him all again as well. It didn't excite me, to be honest with you. Is there a superstar in it? Look, he ran well to the line. There's no doubt about that. And obviously, the wise guy people, oh, he was 6 lengths behind Proactive in France. Oh, we backed that. That drives me nuts. How can you didn't see it? Look, back our stuff about the train.
They had a fiver on it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Delighted with themselves. But yeah. Proactive was very just might match him, man. The walk in the market sold itself in Brian Hayes' book. No offense to Brian. Too keen, clocked one. But look, would you be confident that you come around and you're going to say, oh, he's definitely going to win the next 4-year-old hurdle or whatever, the entry or punches down at Ferry House? No, you wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't say who's going to be the favourite. Selma de Very probably be favourite, like in a 4-year-old race next time in Ireland. But would you be confident that you're going to be on the winner? No. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, it's another race. You have to see him again. But is there an absolute star by looking at it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Manila Study ran a blinder, and well done to him. And And Faye Bramley's horse ran a huge race too. And of course, Winston Jr. run a massive race in the Fred Winter. You could argue is the horse you should be marking up considering where he was positioned and where he came from. But Saratoga did it really nicely. Anything from the handicaps, Tom Malone, that really stood out to you? There's a couple of horses that I think were badly inconvenienced by starts that I'll mention. But for you, anything that really stood out?
Yeah, but well, I do, but equally to pick one from, if you want to go that route, there'll be about 40 lads say they were badly inconvenienced and could be well handicapped next. So we've seen some, like I said to you, Tom Dascombe's horse in the Martin Pipe there, Hot Fuzz, been running out of his skin all year and lovely form all year, and it all stood up, that handicap form all stood up this year. Did I see one that's sneaky? Not really, if I'm honest. Not one that stuck in my head and thought, I'm definitely backing you next time.
Yeah, Meet Me by the Sea was such an impressive winner. I doubt very much that Jordan's Cross would have beaten him, but he was screwed by the start. Sam Tristan Davis had said in multiple interviews in the lead up, he needed to be on the front end, and he was on the front end until they made him turn back. So that didn't help.
This horse was so well in Meet Me by the Sea. I mean, the way he travelled and jumped. Yeah, but is it crazy? I think it's brilliant. Everyone goes on. Everyone's been on Dan Skelton's back with Supremely West. I know you're not on them, but the outside world are on top of him. He has told everyone what he's doing all year. They were favourite for the races, and they won them. And they're going on about what he done with them. He perfectly primed them for a race, and they won.
Do you know what I learned from the Langer Dan affair, Tom Malone? I learned there's no point in complaining. Just join on the bandwagon.
Just be on.
We can see what's going on. So lump on. You were told by Gavin Lynch Madar was an absolute good thing. Now, McClory was obviously fancy too, and that didn't quite work out. But keep McClory in mind for another day because it'll happen. You were told by Gavin Lynch that Supremely West was so well fancied. And join in. Don't be sitting there tough and that's just not cricket. Oh my goodness, what are these skeletons up to now? Oh my goodness. No, just get stuck in. Get stuck in. Join in the show. Back me or sack me. Incredibly well fancied, well backed towards the end. Screwed by the start. Absolutely forget about it.
Yeah,
no
but he
chance.
Jumped like a boat. He jumped like a bit of an idiot as well. Then maybe he was chasing, pushing forward.
But I suspect if he'd been on the front end, at least he would have been able to get into the right rhythm. And because he wasn't able to do that, then he wasn't helped. Maybe it made no difference. But I'll tell you right now, the start did not help him. I'll put it that way. Anything for you from the handicaps, Jamie?
Jumpelen was hampered at the last, I think. Yeah. I think it was the other Fenton horse fell. I thought it was Carol Dutrell, but when it led to it was San Lafort. Yeah, it was San Lafort. San Lafort would have been there as well, because that was staying on as well. Big price. But yeah, definitely going forward, jumping in for wherever it goes next. Meet Me by the Sea, yeah, 100%. I think it's going to step up into greater company, without a doubt. So I think as well, who might step up because he tunnels in hand. We just said the horse, Supremely West. That's a good horse going forward, regardless of, we know it's well handicapped, but could it go for another handicap? We'll see. But you just have to jump on the bandwagon with those horses, Emmet. Yeah. I was saying it all year that I couldn't see it be beaten. If the one skeleton horse, I suppose he said all year, is that you knew he was going to win, and he ran to the line. If you know you're on about horses that stop with the skeletons he'd ran to the line. He was a well handicapped horse. The top of my head, always said the Yellow Clay, tanked around. Not much after that. You said back me or sack me. It was one, got murdered to start. Jumping is a big issue with him, challenge to UMS. Not really. I'm like Tom, it's not really, you say, he was unlucky, this was unlucky, that was unlucky. But exactly what you're saying, Jordan's Cross was very unlucky. But would he have beaten Me by the Sea? Very much doubt. One horse that I will say, I'm not cribbing the jockey, I'm not going to mention the jockey, but I think there is a massive handicap in that Joseph horse to finish fourth in the Kimrock.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's too far back in that race. I think if he got that back again, John Gleeson, would have done better. That's just the run of the race. Sometimes you get shuffled back. But Kimrock,
I'm not going to mention the jockey, but
I have to know because I mentioned the horse. Do you know what I mean? But no, John Marie Gleeson to be great, turning the bumper 1 year, so I can't criticise him. So there is a race in it.
Yeah, I'd agree. And from what I understand, Patrick Mullins was going to ride Kimrock. And as I mentioned on the show, then switched to Road to Home because they got him in, and he ran a blinder, absolute blinder.
And Willie Mullins still can't win a handicap chase.
And Willie Mullins still can't win a handicap chase. Well, you were getting pelters, Tom Malone. How dare you express an opinion? And the opinion you expressed was that the Presbytery Cup was going to be very close between Britain and Ireland, and you got absolutely slaughtered for expressing the opinion that was what was going to happen. And what was the final score again? Oh, that's right. It was 15-13 in favour of Ireland. And it came down to the final race. We just about managed to come out on top. That was a really, really close one. It was not close for the handicaps. British trained horses took 9 of the 12. Irish trained horses, on the other hand, take 11 of the 13 grade 1s, 12 of the 15 graded races overall. So the argument that the bridge is being gapped, maybe, certainly in the Supreme it certainly was, but outside of those races, the graded strength still lay with Ireland. The handicaps very much in the favour of the UK. There's a lot of things to be positive, though, about for British racing.
The gap is closed, Emmet, in the handicaps because of the rules. The made-up rules that they have. If it was the old rules, the Irish should win more handicaps. They're handicapping the Irish horses out in a way. But last year you couldn't say that because the rules were there anyway. Do you know what I mean? You can see it in the Supreme. Like that's the other race going forward for British horses going forward for next season. I would say that. After that, we just dominated, didn't we? So it's the rules in the handicaps is bridging the gap for more British runners. That's all I'll say on that.
So essentially restrictions of you have to have had 5 starts over hurdles to run in the handicaps. You have to have had 4 starts over fences to run in a handicap chase. You think that's favouring the British? And also, Peter Michael has made the point on numerous occasions, the Irish handicapper does our horses no favours whatsoever. Never mind if the BHA get a handle on things.
Gavin Lynch is a big adversary of this, and he pointed out as well that you win a race in Ireland, you're going up a stone.
Yeah.
Or they get 4 or 5 pounds in the UK.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you have the majority of the 150 plus horses in Ireland.
Yes.
And the thing about it is when you win a maiden hurdle in Ireland, there's every chance it's a 140 plus race. When you win a maiden hurdle over here, it could be a 150
plus race.
We needed to be kind of a level playing field coming out of Cheltenham for everyone to have the buzz to go on next year. The way it had been going for the last 4 or 5 years with England winning 6 and 8 races and everyone going home depressed and no one wanting to invest in the country. Grand. If the handicapper is doing you a bit of disservice and the English one, it's only leveling the playing field, lads. And we're actually coming away buzzing. Ireland and England are buzzing for next year and everyone's biting to buy horses again, which means the industry is driving forward from the grassroots up. People want good horses. It was no good being purely dominated by one country, as much as it was great to watch. And the English have now a fighting chance of having some really nice animals coming forward. You have Ben Pauling, Jamie Snowden, Dan Skelton, Harry Durham, to name but a bunch of young men that have the bit between their teeth and are aggressive on a Sunday evening to buy these animals. That bodes well for the future. You might not see it now, but you're going to start seeing it in the next 2 or 3 years when we get to these championship novice and championship grade 1 races. And it should be mentioned that AJ seems to have really rejuvenated things at the John Joe team as well. They had a great week. Yeah, well, they had a frighteningly slow start because they were sick, but they have turned around now. Yeah, and obviously Philip Hobbsyard has turned it around since Johnson White went on the licence. Absolutely. I always get in my head, people said he couldn't train horses. That man trained 100 winners a year consistently for 15 to 20 years, trained champion hurdle winners, and then he can't train. John Joe Neal can't train. He's trained a Gold Cup winner, Welsh Nationals, leading trainer at the festival in 2003. When I hear people say that these people have gone, they can't train. Paul Nicholls, fantastic trainer, but if they're not healthy, you cannot train them. Yeah. Very simple. But sure, Gavin Cromwell didn't forget how to be a trainer. And he proved it at Cheltenham. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So the BHA's new incentive scheme where if you win a grade 1, you're going to get a percentage of the prize money back. That was met with a very, very, very negative reaction. And the reason for that is because the middle to lower tier of the sport is being completely forgotten about for the benefit of JP McManus, Max McNeil, Rich Ritchie, and all the others at the top end. Yeah, but what about if it works? They then find another 2 million quid for the middle tier, and then it flitters down through. Doing nothing is what's happening right now, and it's not good enough. So they bring in a small incentive that's only a drop in the ocean, 750 grand it'll cost them with every grade one that's placed. One of my owners came to me the other day, Brocade Racing, and they're going to have 15 grand off or 10 grand off their training fees next year for a new horse that they buy. They were delighted with it. But that's them investing in this country again.
Are they going to invest more on the back of it?
Absolutely. They were anyway. But it's just a lovely incentive for them to pay a half a training fee.
But
will it get some of the Irish, will it get some of the English owners from Ireland back? Potentially when the horses are running well. But I don't see the negative. People are always so negative when someone tries something new. It breaks my heart. Well, then you just stop people from wanting to try and say something new, because you get the idiots that do nothing and say nothing and try nothing, giving out about the ones that are actually trying.
Well, I think in this instance, it makes sense to me that people are annoyed about it, because the one thing that we can all agree on is there's too much racing and it needs to be reduced. And then the BHA come out and say, oh, actually, British Racing can't afford to reduce the fixture list, which is in complete contradiction to what Julie Harrington was saying during her tenure as the CEO, that it needed to be reduced. Now you're being told, oh, actually, they can't afford to reduce it. So if you're not going to reduce the fixture list and you're going to have races where the prize money is literally £2,000 and £4,000, that's not going to be enough to have a racehorse in training. What are you doing for the middle to lower end of the owners who prop up the sport? And the answer is nothing, but you are going to do something for the people who are at the very upper echelons of the sport, who are the ones who don't need it.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but then you're talking about the dwindling numbers of 150 horses in England is nearly half of what it was 6-8 years ago. Right. If you don't get them back, you can never compete at the top level. So they have to get that structure going so that owners are incentivized to spend more money. And it will trickle down. It will. But if you don't start by getting more in, if the man that spends 20 grand on a horse or 30 grand or 40 grand on a horse, he's middle tier, he's never going to be potentially in the grade ones. I get what you're saying, but you're never going to get better horses that way.
Yeah, but
by getting the best owners.
But the truth is, you don't know. Like, I don't think Nicky Henderson would have let Johnny's Jury go if he'd known that horse was going to go and win an Albert Bartlett. But he had to let the horse go because
that's one horse in probably hundreds of identical types that has just got through the system and is way better. Normally, the fastest horse is costing the most money now. That is what's happening.
Reasonable, but I mean, I could also make the point that Basher Watt's horse that was unlucky in the French 1,000 guineas, shall we say, particularly seeing as the horse that was promoted won't get by. No one wanted that horse at the Breeze-Ups, and so Charlie ends up getting it. It's not an very science that because you spend 500 grand on a racehorse, that's going to be your Grade 1 winner. So it could very well be. It could, with all due respect, it could be Jaime Wrenn who puts a horse. It could be Jaime Wrenn who puts a horse with Harry Derham that ends up being the Tallworth winner, or whatever that race is called now on St. Stephen's Day. You don't know until the horses start to come through the system. Now, if smaller owners are the ones who get the Grade 1s,
I don't want a 4B winner,
and they being incentivized to keep horses training, that's great. But if the idea is, well, maybe Rich Ritchie will have more horses with Venetia Williams, I don't think he will actually. If the Donnellys decide to put more with Nicky than they do with Willie because of this incentive, well, then maybe that works, and maybe the trickle-down economics benefits. But trickle-down economics overall, as a concept, is nonsense. It doesn't actually work. It's a great idea as a talking point to put out there. And by the way, Tom, I will be the first person to hold my hands up and go, Britain have won the Presbytery Cup. It's Grade 1 winners in the Supreme and the Turners and the Albert left, right, and said, I'll be the first one to say, well done, Brant Dunshee and the BHA. But for that to be the first initiative of Brant Dunshee's leadership to benefit the upper echelons of the sport while doing nothing for the middle to lower tier, I really did just have a raised eyebrow at that.
Yeah, I listen, the inner workings of why this came out, I think it was more so stop English owners going to Ireland. Incentivize them to have it with trainers in England and to buy a good horse. I'd say that's the reason. I had an English owner come to me and say that at least I'm going to get I was placed in a Grade 1, I have half my training fees and I'm going to buy a new horse.
Yeah.
So that's incentivized them to buy a new horse again. Now, to pull back a few of the English owners back into English racing, I'm sure it's a drop in the ocean. 750 grand, I believe, was what it was the max it was going to cost them. It was a start to see if it would work. They have to try something.
come up with a better one.
That's about half what they paid Julie Harrington in her final year at the BHA. So yeah, probably is.
That's a completely different story. We don't need to go there. And that's politics, which I stay away from, because you could talk politics all day and get nowhere.
Trust me,
We'll
Tom.
be here till tomorrow.
Trust me, Tom. You are better off. You'll break your brain. You'll end up pulling your hair out, which I've done way too much of.
So I will just keep trying to buy these horses, and I'll let you worry about the politics of it.
Yeah, there's no point in.
I stay on politics.
Yeah.
If you stop waffling,
That's the extent of the politics that I want to talk about. I would much rather talk about horses galloping around the field, which is what we've just done for the last hour and a half, and very much enjoy that.
Okay.
Just finally on the starts, I mean, something's got to be done, and surely the incentive at this point is to just really batter the jockeys who are continuously breaking the rules. You have to really hammer them.
Emmet, you're so wrong.
Okay, tell me.
You are so wrong.
Tell me.
You are so wrong.
Tell me.
Right. Why is it always the jockey's fault? They're put on the race course. The left-hand side has the lad that's on the right-hand side in a 22-runner race has to canter to stay with the lad on the left-hand side. Why aren't they just let them walk away and come at this line straight? They're asking them to come out round the bend. So if the lad on the outside decides, no, I've got a jig jog, the lad on the inside's jig jogging, who's going to get to the line first? It's the law of physics that it's wrong. The race course are at fault. The BHA need to put this together. Jockeys are not at fault for being instructed to be in the first 4 or 5, and it just so happens they come out of a tight holding area onto a bend and manage to then can't bully themselves into the first 4 or 5 on the inside. They've got to go around the outside. What are they doing then? Their horse is revved, he's cantering, false start. Walk them out onto the racecourse, go over and turn round and come down at your starting line in a straight line, everyone. And then if they start jig jogging and one's cantering, well then that's a different story. Get him. Them horses are finely tuned for one day. And then you're asking them to stand in a straight line on it blows my mind that they can't see this. Ruby Walsh came up with a very good one, that a run, kind of a slingshot and a running start, it rolls off and up. That could work, but whatever they need to do, all them runners need to be coming straight at a line, not off a bend. That's crazy.
But that chute is too tight, Tom.
100%.
Yeah. That chute there in the middle of the track is way too tight. Why can't they pull the left-hand side of where the railing is and make it a bigger, wider gap when they're running in? It's that much. There's loads of room there. Just pull it out.
Hold on.
Just let them run through.
Hold on. We're told that there's very smart people running British racing. Tom just eloquently explained the solution to the problem. They've announced a second review in 2 years. We got a review to this last year. Nothing happened. Why is it you're able to see this and eloquently explain the problem, but the people who run the sport can't see it as clearly as you just did?
I'm sure you have Robbie Supple and a couple of these guys who have ridden, and they are intelligent men. They know what it is. They've ridden to them starts. So either they're not eloquently saying it to them and saying, look, this is what needs to happen, or they're damn not listening. So in essence, it's their fault and not the jockeys, and they should be slapped on the wrist for this, not the jockeys.
But there's never a punishment to them. There's always a punishment for the jockeys.
I get that, but this is our industry over and over. No one's there to take a slap on the wrist. It's always got to be the trainer's fault, the jockey's fault, or someone else's fault, other than the people who are cluelessly making bad decisions.
Well, I began this by saying that the way to circumvent this is, or the way to solve it, is bash the people who are breaking the rules more harshly to decentivize them from continuing to break the rules. Because if you're going to give a jockey a 1-day ban for trying to get a prominent position, then they'll take it in order to... But the way you've just explained it, which is actually what I was saying on TalkSport last week, this is the fault of the people whose job it is to start these races properly. Yeah. 100%. And it's not being seen properly.
No, I'm not trying to say the jockeys are faultless, because some of them are stupidly thick and they don't help themselves. Well, they don't help themselves. I was one of them. You should take that!
Proceed, Tom. Proceed.
If all you've
Right, so,
ever been
good.
told is, get out and go, you've got to do your best to do that. And I get that some people then just are a bit more ignorant than others and they're going to do it. And I get some will end up near it. But you have a highly strung 500 kilo animal going forward and starts to canter. Very hard to pull them back as well. And this is the madness in that decision making. They don't take that into consideration one bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On a brighter note, if there was a horse that you could have sourced at the Cheltenham Festival that you didn't amongst your winners and horses that plays brilliantly, who would it be, Tom?
Gaelic Warrior.
Magnificent horse. If there was a horse that you could have backed, Jamie, that you didn't, who would it be?
Oh, the one I got wrong was King Rascal Grey, 100%. I hold my hand up there. I got him totally wrong.
I think it's
at the price.
I think Kit's Bull.
At the price, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't understand how I let Kit's Bull, who was unbeaten and completed starts over fences in a Grade 1 winner, go at 11-1. I let him go. I didn't even consider him for the rest of God, Star winners don't win brand advisories. It's another stat blown into the oblivion. Of the horses you saw this week at Cheltenham, Tom, which is the one you're most excited about seeing at Cheltenham next year?
Sober Glory.
Same question, Jamie.
Sober Glory.
Yeah, same for me as well. Arkle. 8-1 for the Arkle.
He just came straight to me. That's Sober Glory.
That poor horse.
The burden on his back.
God, so
Ben, let's go. The excitement is there. All right, been an absolute pleasure, Tom. An absolute pleasure talking to you as always in the podcast. I really appreciate your insight. Really appreciate all of the knowledge that you have dropped on us for the last 2 hours or so. It's been a pleasure, and please God, we'll talk to you again soon.
Well done, boys. Thank you very much.
And Jamie, fantastic as always, my friend. Looking forward to chatting to you again next week. This day next week, in fact, as we look back over the weekend's racing and look ahead to the big jumps racing to come. If you liked this episode, smash a like on it. It really helps us with the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. We did well at Cheltenham. We could have done better. You always can do better. But if you like what we do, if you like the content from the guys, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And of course, the flat season is on its way. Never mind the fact we still have the Grand National to come. From Jaime Wrenn, Tom Malone, and me, Emmet Kennedy, look after yourself and each other. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong podcast, independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.